Welcome to Lesson 3.6 Everyday Math 5th grade. Today, I am going to be showing you a couple of things, and we're going to work on fractions again. So, when you were in 3rd and 4th grade, you learned how to make estimates. You learned how to figure out if an answer was reasonable. We talked about that earlier this year already. Like if I say 10 times 10 and you say the answer is 1,000, that doesn't make sense, right? If I say that there are about 5 million people in my room, that doesn't make sense. So making an estimate or doing an answer or doing your math, you need to make sure that your answer is reasonable. So the word reasonable means it's close, or it should be the answer. According to my estimate, it should make sense. We make estimates all the time. And if you look, usually you look at your estimate and your answer. And if they're close, then you're probably right. Doesn't mean you're always right, but it means you're probably right, or at least, like I said, close. So we are going to talk about that today, but we're going to talk about that with fractions. Fractions. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with this problem. So here's my problem. 5/12 minus 1/10 equals 5/10. Does that answer make sense? Is that reasonable? What do you think? Now, I'm going to explain my thinking. The way I look at this is 5/12. If I think of like a fraction circle, here's 5/12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here would be 5/12. Okay, I know I can do that one. And then over here, I'm going to do 5/10. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. By the way, 5/10 is half. So if I start with this and I subtract something, does it make sense that my answer would be that? When I look at this, I see that this is less than half. So it's already less than half. And then I'm taking something away. My answer wouldn't be half because this is more. So looking at this compared to this picture is a lot smaller than this amount. So this is not reasonable. Sometimes you can use fractions that are close to the original number to help you think about the number. Again, 5/12 to me, I think 12, half of 12 is about 6. And then I'm also taking something away. You have to think about it a little differently. Okay? You try this one on your own. Oops, it deleted it. Dang it. It's 5/6 plus 1/12 equals 3/4. 5/6 plus 1/12 equals 3/4. What do you think? The way I would look at this, I would draw two pictures. I would draw my circle with my 6. The way you do that is you draw it in half and then you kind of put a K on each side. There's my 6. So 5/6 would look like this. Plus something equals 3/4. So my final answer is this. Does that look like it's bigger than this? No, and it should be. So this one is not correct either. So what you're going to do with this assignment today and with this lesson, we're going to look at fractions and we're going to decide whether the person that did the assignment was correct or not. Were they close? When you do that, when you figure out if something's reasonable or not reasonable, it's going to be a big fancy word. It's called a conjecture. Conjecture. So that's a statement saying, yes, it's reasonable, or no, it's not. So when you say conjecture, it's what you think about their answer. Did their prediction make sense? What was your conclusion? Okay. So my first question, 2/7 plus 1/2. 2/7 plus 1/2. Does that answer make sense? Yes or no? Now, I'm not adding them, but I'm going to use a picture to help me. You also could use fraction circle pieces or a number line if you choose, but I'm going to look really quickly right here. 2/7 plus 1/2. So if this is my circle, half of my circle, 3/9. 3/9. Is 3 half of 9? Nope, it's a lot smaller. So I'm going to split it into thirds. This is 3/9. So a number plus this equals that. That does not make sense. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And the way that you know this is if you add 2/7 plus 1/2, your answer should be more than 1/2. 3/9 is less than 1/2. That's what you need to do. I'm going to give you a minute and I want you to go ahead and write this down. Pause if you need to and write down what I wrote. All right. Now let's do the next one. All right. So let's look at this one. I'm going to think of this with a number line. So I did my circles. Now I'm going to do, and actually, no, I'm going to do this butterfly method. You know, I like my butterfly method. I'm going to do actually both ways. So 9/10, 7/8, butterfly. 8 times 9 is 72. 10 times 7 is 70. Which one is bigger? 9/10. Absolutely. Does that make sense? That is one way to do it. Another way to do it is think about a number line. So if I go from 0 to 1, so here's 0, here's 1. I'm going to separate it into eighths first. Ish. There's eighths. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 eighths. So here's 7/8, right? Now I'm going to use my blue marker and separate it into tenths. So this is still half. Okay. Then we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. This right here would be 9/10. And that's a little difficult to see, so I'm going to do it again on 2 separate lines so you can see it a little easier. So again, eighths, 7/8, tenths, nine-tenths. Which one is more? If you look directly straight on to this picture, you can see that if I move across my number line, I hit 7/8 first, and then I hit 9/10. I know that 9/10 is really close to 1. So you can think about it that way too. 7/8 is close too, but it's not as close. All right? So there we go. So when you are doing this, you can either say, I did butterfly method, not. Remember, I told you not to write that. You can say, does it make sense? I compared the fractions with one whole. 9/10 is only 1/10 from being 1. 7/8 is 1/8 from being 1. 1/10 is less than 1/8. So if I draw a picture of 1/10 and a picture of 1/8, 1/10 is a lot smaller. That's how you do it. All right, conjecture number 3. I want you to try this one on your own. Look at 7/12 plus 1/4 equals 8/12. Does it make sense? Yes or no? I want you to pause, do what you need to do, and try to write a reasoning before it. Go ahead and pause. Did you pause? I hope so. Here we go. Does that make sense? No, it does not. The reason why it doesn't make sense is because, look, those have the same denominator. And those are really close together, right? This 1/4 is not the same denominator, but that's a big piece. Think about it. If I cut something into 12ths, look at that little piece right there. And if I cut something into 4ths, that's too big of a piece. It wouldn't make sense. Okay, so does the answer make sense? No, because 7/12 and 8/12 have the same denominator. I only, might help if I spell only right, need to add 1/12. That is smaller than 1/4. 1/12 is smaller than 1/4. 1/12 is smaller than 1/4. All right, 8/9 plus 1/3 equals 8/12. Think about what the denominator means. Think about how big 12ths are versus how big 9ths are versus how big 3rds are. Take your second, pause the video, and see if you can do this on your own. Go. See what you can do. All right, so what we're going to look at really quickly is I want you to think about what a 12th actually looks like and what a 9th actually looks like. So I got out my fraction circle pieces and I'm going to show you really quickly. So this is the size of a 12th. This is the size of a 9th. So 8 of these plus something equals 8 of these. Is that reasonable? It is not reasonable. That is not how this works. And the reason why I know that this isn't going to work is because 8/12 is smaller than 8/9. So 8/9 plus 1/3 will be more than 8/12. Does it make sense? No. And this is why. This is a tricky thing to do. We are going to work on figuring out if answers are reasonable for a couple of weeks. We're going to work on it here and there. So really think about the reasoning behind it. Also, whenever your teacher says to go back and check your work, what they're asking you to do is go back and look at your answers and see if they're reasonable. If you did this on a test and you go back and you're like, wait, hang on, I wrote that wrong. That's going to help you out. So when it's time to go back and check your answers, go back to each answer, look at what you got, and see if it makes sense. That's going to be your best bet. All right, there is one more lesson that we're going to do today, and we're going to work on what to do with the remainder. We're going to do another video on that, or another little bit of work on that. So I want you guys to think about what we're going to do with the remainder on another episode, another video. So this is video number 1. Stand up, take a break, stretch, do what you need to do. I'm going to have video number 2 start in just a couple of seconds.